We're together.
Oh. Can you see me now?
There. I can
Hi,
see you now. You're
Pamita.
moving. Hi.
I had my Bluetooth
How are
on.
you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, sweetie?
Doing great. You look so gorgeous. I love your circlet.
Oh,
That's gorgeous.
I just decided to wear it today. It's something different. I don't typically wear things on my head, but I'm like, why not? Embrace your inner god, inner goddess.
I should be wearing my crown too. I had a beautiful client who sent me a crown.
Really?
An amazing crown. I should be wearing that, but it's in the other room, so I'm not going to leave you.
Oh, I'm so sorry about the internet connection. I don't know what was going on there for a second. So welcome, guys, to this Instagram Live. This is Psychic Medium Ray, and this is my very special guest, Madam Pamita. And for those of you that don't know, she's going to introduce herself. So go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself, what you do, what projects you have, etc. Whatever you feel comfortable.
Well, first of all, can I just say that I am so excited to be talking to you.
I am excited as well.
You are such a ray of light in this world, such a force of love and positivity. And, I watched what you do. I watch your videos, and I adore you. So I love that everybody's here with us,
yes.
But I love that I get to hang out with you. That Likewise. Is to me like my favorite part of this whole thing.
I want to say that you're an inspiration to me as well. I've been inspired, I've embraced the witch path, being a male witch. I've embraced it a lot more now in the present tense. But I was kind of like in the closet when it came to, being a witch and using that ability. But my friend Pamela Williams, who is a witch herself, she actually came across one of your videos, and she was like, you need to watch this lady. You need to watch Madam Pamita. She is amazing. She's amazing at her craft and everything. So then that's how I met you, through her. And she said, she gave me your shop, and I went to get some candles, and I loved the candles that I got. And then I kept watching your YouTube videos. I was like binge watching all of your videos, and I was like, oh my God, she has so much knowledge, and she makes it easy. You make it so easy for people to grasp the concepts behind the videos, of the spells that you do and the magic that you do. It's not complicated, and it's not difficult to understand you. So you've inspired me in many ways to be on this journey and to fully embrace who I am today. So I'm so grateful to you.
Oh my gosh, I want to give you a hug. I love you so much. That is like my mission in life is, it's very interesting because I'm a tarot reader. I have authored a book called Madam Pamita's Magical Tarot. It came out on Wiser Books in 2018. I'm working on a book on candle magic for Llewellyn right now.
Yes,
so that's exciting news.
So excited for that. Can't wait.
Yeah. But my whole mission we're spiritualists, right? Yes. So we do, I'm not going to jump to the conclusion of what you do, but I'm going to guess that you probably are somewhat like on that same path that I am, yes. Which is my guides. I connect to my council of guides. I teach people how to connect to their council of guides, but my guides are always telling me information and telling me things. And one of the things that they've constantly told me throughout my whole life is that you're a teacher and you're meant to be spreading this information. So even though it is the occult, which means hidden, it is really meant to be shown to whoever is in that place to receive it. I'm not an evangelist. I'm not going to force someone to do my way or my path or anything like that.
Right.
My way is what the wisdom that I get through teachers in the physical realm and my spiritual teachers in the spirit realm, and I share it with everyone. And I also set that intention that the people who I'm going to help will find me. So I am very much about disseminating information, sharing information freely, teaching people how to do things. Now I have, of course, paid readings and products that I sell and those sorts of things. But I also have a ton of free stuff up on my site, always sharing that information and giving that information to people. So, I mean, in a big umbrella way, that is what I do, is teach people how to empower themselves with magic.
You do.
That is what it is meant to be. And in this time of our American culture, like, I do not think it is an accident that I am here in American culture during this time, at a time when people need to be empowered, that we have this situation where there's a power structure that is becoming visible to us, which is actually a positive, because it's always been there, but we have lived under the illusion that we have freedom or that we have power. And the reality is that there's a big power structure, but the reality also is that we individually have power, and our power is magic. Our power is to be able to influence things and move things on a spiritual level. It is definitely high level stuff. Young souls are not going to be attracted to it or get it, but the old souls are like soaking it up like a sponge.
They understand.
And so, yes. So you know all of this stuff because I know you connect with your guides so beautifully, and they tell you many of the same messages. So I think there are these people that serve different. Everybody has a different role. You know, your role may be to hold space for someone. Your role may be to whatever. But my role is to teach and to show people. And my most joyful thing in my life is empowering another person to be able to do that magic. And when people come back to me and say, oh my gosh, Madam Pamita, I saw a video of yours, or I took a class with you, or that reading that you gave me, I took that and I then did my own magic. That is my joy in life. That is my joy in life.
It's like it brings joy and healing to you when you do this kind of work, and it's validation. And one of the things that I love about you is that being a teacher that you are, and you do it so well to the masses. You know, the information that you filter out. You don't come across as, as a Miss Know-It-All, or and I don't mean that in a bad way, but there are some people that come across with very much their ego, and they're like, well, my way is the right way, and that's the only way it should be, and that kind of shuts people down that are newly beginning on this path, and I've encountered that myself from the very beginning when I started doing just readings and then getting, slowly into magic and stuff like that. I encountered a lot of resistance and people who just, wanted to say, my way is the right way and your way is not the right way. And, there's a certain way, and this is not ethical, blah, blah, blah. And you make it where everyone feels so accepting, and it's universal. Your message is universal. And I love that so much. And yes, like you're spot on with what you said about my guides and my path. And that's the same thing that I'm trying to do with this platform, is to show that there are so many spiritual awakened souls, or consciousness on a spiritual level is lifted. Like you said, the veil is thin. When you meet science meets reality, even scientists now are questioning, that they're kind of on that tip on the iceberg, that they can, attest that there is something beyond the physical realms here on Earth. And so it's just so amazing. My platform, I'm using it as well to bring like-minded souls like you and other witches and people that are healers and spiritualists, and bring them on. I want to give you all a platform to reach out to other, masses, like people that typically wouldn't, maybe stumble across your video. They don't know who Madam Pamita is. Well, now they'll know. And I feel like it's a brotherhood and sisterhood that we all should be doing. We shouldn't be competing against each other. We shouldn't, we need to all be on that same spiritual level and just embrace and lift one another up, because that's my goal. I know that's my mission as well, just like you, that I came to Earth to do this kind of work, to help people become empowered and know that they have magic within themselves, and they can tap into that woven tapestry of magic. It's there. It's just a matter of accessing it and not being afraid. There's so many people that are afraid when they hear the word occult, like you said, or they hear, magic. They tend to start going into social conditioning and thinking all magic is bad, and it's the work of the devil, and it's, conjuring is bad, and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like with our platforms and what we're doing today, it's going to help a lot of people to understand it better. I think people fear what they don't understand. And so, yeah.
And I think that, no, I was going to say, I think that what I have come to that realization, there's a really, I want to share another really wonderful worker who works in a very different way. Ainsley McLeod is, he works with past lives. He just focuses on past life work. One of the things, he has a book called The Instruction, which I have found so helpful. Like, I was getting this download of information, but this book gave me a framework for the information that I was getting. So that's why I say I have teachers on the material level and teachers on the spiritual level. And sometimes you get a download and you're like, how do I translate that into real life? Well, for example, like when you're talking about people that are fearful of this work, we're looking at people that are young souls.
Yes.
So imagine like a little child. Little children are really connected in the real life into the spirit realm, but like a little child needs boundaries, right? Yes. They need to say, if you hit your brother, you will get a timeout. You can't run into the street, you'll get hit by a car. Those are the things that you have to tell your children, right? Yes. They need black and white. So young souls that haven't had a lot of lifetime experience look at the world in black and white. They look at things in very material world level, just like a little child looks at the world in the material level, and they need structure. So when we look at people that are in, let's say, like very religions with a lot of rules, spiritual paths that are like, I am the person on high, here is what you do, this is what you do. That is what they need because of their soul journey. So instead of looking like that, helped me understand, because I was like, why are people not getting it? Well, it's like going to a little child and saying, use your good judgment. They don't have good judgment. They're not old enough. They haven't developed that yet. So then we can look at the people that are looking at the world in a very structured black and white way, and looking at empowerment or being able to have your own spiritual path as evil, as with compassion. We can say, oh, they just really aren't as far along on the path as I am, rather than that's my enemy out there. They're evil. They're evil. I mean, that's the other backlash that we get, that we feel, structured, fundamentalist religions, all kinds. It's evil. I mean, that's why we're dealing with the whole issue we're dealing with in the Middle East and all of these other things, is because someone's saying your structure is wrong.
Exactly.
That structure is okay for the young soul who needs that structure. But the old souls are freaking out and going, don't you guys get it? Don't you guys get that this is empowerment? Don't you guys get that, like, sexuality should be open, that people should be free to love who they want to love, that gender is fluid? I mean, I love the young people coming up and showing us old people, like, gender's fluid. And I'm like, at first I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh, I'm on board. I get it now. You've taught me and you've explained to me. So these older souls that are in young bodies have showed and taught me so much. So it's like that more open area feels scary to a young soul.
It does.
Like a little kid will feel scared if you're just like, hey, do whatever, kid. That's not a way to raise a child. You need to have structure. So then we can look at those people that are fearful with compassion, with love, and sending them love and sending them light, and going, yeah, where I am, maybe I'm in graduate school spiritually and you're in kindergarten, but that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So we learn from these people that are in art, and Ainsley is wonderful. Like, I know him personally, not face to face, but like I know you. He's a colleague. He's wonderful. He's written this wonderful book that if you are not understanding where other people are and like where you are and why can't they see it my way? Exactly. It's a beautiful book.
I'm going to check that out. What is the name of that book again for our audience?
The book is called The Instruction. He has a new book out that just came out. So his name is a Scottish name. So it's spelled AINSLIE MCLEOD, Ainsley McLeod. His book is called The Instruction, and he has I think he has a book called How to Be an Old Soul in a New Soul World, or something like that, which is really...
check it out. I'm all for new material. learning. That's the thing that I consider myself, even though I'm a teacher, I'm still learning every day.
We're always learning.
And I never stop. And like people say, well, you know, you're like a teacher to us. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know everything. You know, I'm still learning. And for me to sit here and say that I know everything, you know, that would be a lie to the people, because we learn every day. Like I had a conversation yesterday with someone, and I can't remember what it was about exactly off the tip of my mind, but it was a new process or a new way to do something. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. And I'm 37 years old and I didn't know that. So it's like, you know, I learn things when I look at your videos. I learn things. I consider you like my teacher, you know, when I'm looking at it, at your videos, and just so many other people, YouTubers that are out there, you know, that are doing the same thing that we're doing. And it's wonderful to see all that magic and that, you know, that knowledge being given so freely to people so they can do this work. So yeah, I agree with you. It's just like resistance, and I get it daily on my YouTube channel, on emails and forums. I get a lot of hate and just, you know, just negative vibrations about people that are, like you said, young souls that are afraid of what, you know, the work that I do, etc. And I just kind of have to deflect that and not taking it personal myself. And that's something that I work. It's so difficult though, because even though I'm such, you know, I try to be on a 4D, 5D vibration. It still hurts because we're human beings, you know, even though you know that that's not true about you, what they say, it still hurts. And you know, that at the end of the day, you just kind of have to brush it off, because it's not about
come to mama and I'll give you a hug. Come to mama and I'll tell you it's okay. I'm a Cancer, so I'm everybody's mama.
Oh, I'm a Gemini with a Cancer moon and rising, so I'm double Cancer.
Oh, so you need a hug.
Yes.
You know, I think it's really that that concept of like there's something that I heard a long time ago. It's very trite. You know, like some people say, well, that's just you know, that's just an old saying. It's an old whatever. But those things are often very true. And it's the wiser you get, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yes.
It's the ones that don't know a lot, honestly, that think they know it all. And the older you get, you realize, and the more you experience and the more you're out there, you're like, wow, there's so much we don't know.
You know, and
there's so much we don't know.
Yeah, there's that process. I was thinking about it yesterday. I kept saying to myself, I'm 37 years old. I'm kind of scared. Like, what if new technology comes out and I'm not going to be aware of how to use that, or new spells and things like that, new ways of doing things. And I'm not aware of, like, you know, where am I going to get that knowledge? Like, how am I going to learn it? And those are questions I think everybody has that would be listening. You know, there's a lot of people in their 60s or 70s that are tuning in, and they may think that, you know, magic has a certain age or limit, you know, and there's no age or boundaries. You can be at any age and you can start doing magic. You can start, you know, teaching and learning about spirituality and follow your gifts. Like, people have gifts and they're latent. Sometimes they develop more when they're in their 60s and 70s because they've been through hardships. They've been through all of these hard, painful lessons, and it's molded and sculpted their soul to be so strong and wise. And that kind of like opens your abilities. Like, it just cracks open like an egg.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that's true of many things, is that when you start later, you're bringing your life experience, whatever that life experience, and you accelerate very quickly when you're older.
Yes.
So I think that you know, that younger people will figure out things. There's some things like I'm like, kids, I have 2 boys, they're 21 and 19. I'm like, kids, I can't figure out how to do, and they're like, oh, mom, how do you hook up the you know, the PS4? I don't know how to do it, or whatever. You know, they're like, oh, mom, it's so easy. I'm like, I don't know. But, you know, there's also that aspect of, like, if you really want to learn something, you will accelerate fast. So even people on a very pragmatic, practical level that are getting into new careers or new something, anything, new spiritual paths, anything, you will accelerate very quickly because you're also bringing all of your life experience to the table. So it's, you're good, kids. And then I think it's more about, like, people focus on that number age of their physical body and not really on their soul age.
Exactly. If we knew how old our soul is, I think people would freak out, because a lot of us have been here numerous lifetimes and are older than what we would think.
Yes. And that's why I love doing past life work. I do probably 95% of the stuff that I do is tarot readings with people and magical advice. But there's that 5% where I'm doing past life work and talking to people's spirit guides.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing that. I love doing that because it's like,
I do past life readings, and I
it's
love
so fun
doing it because you get to tap into that and see, and you also kind of like, if you've shared a life with that person when you're doing the reading, you kind of like remember things, you know, about your own past lives. Like I know that I've had one in Egypt, I've had one in Ireland, I've had one in what was the other place, Greece and Italy. I've been in like in those areas, I know. And I, you know, it's like I've always felt drawn to those countries, and that's what I tell people with past life memories, that, you know, in their awaking body now, like if you've had a past life in some place and you feel a pull that you need to go there, or you need to do this, or something feels like deja vu, it's probably because you've already done it before, or you've lived there before. And so sometimes our souls here in the physical world will remember those little bit of triggers, you know, of what we used to be or where we used to live. And it's just so exciting for people to have those revelations.
it's so funny because somebody in the comments, it's like, I want to know my soul age. I want to know how old I am. I'm going to tell you something. If you're coming to this channel, you're an old soul.
Yes.
That is almost like a dividing line. Exactly. Because unless you're coming here to be mean, which I haven't, you know, I've just been glancing, I haven't seen anything mean. Unless you're coming here to say you're full of it. If you're coming with an openness about spirituality, you're an old soul. Because you've lived so many different experiences and different lifetimes and different religious paths and spiritual paths, and you have great wisdom. You're coming to the more what we would call the alternative curiosity about these alternative paths. You're already an old soul. Ainsley is very interesting because he divides it into like numbers, like 1 through 10. I never got that 1 through 10 thing, but he divides it into 1 through 10. I think of it more as a continuum, but it's a good structure to break it down for people so that they can comprehend it. But people that are open spiritually are going to be in 7, 8, and 9 and 10 level. They're not going to be brand new souls that are just here for 1 or 2 lifetimes or 10 lifetimes or 100 lifetimes. Those are people that are still figuring it out, world and how the material world works. When you're up in this vibration up here, where you're curious about this, or you're interested in it, or you see and understand what Ray and I are talking about, then you are already an old soul. So that already goes without saying. So like I say to people, well, I do readings, you know, for people one-on-one, but I also do readings at parties. And it's very interesting, the difference between those things, because when I'm doing readings for one-on-one people, those people are all old souls, because they're not going to come and pay money to go to have a reading, whether they're doing it remotely with me or whether they're doing it in person with me. They're not going to pay money to have a reading if they're a young soul. They don't do it. They're not interested. But when you go to a party, the person that's hosting the party may be an old soul, but they may have people in various ranges. So you get people that are like skeptics, which are younger souls, which aren't open to it. And you get to have the experience of playing with them, and you blow their minds. That's the part that is so fun about when I do.
I also have found that
readings at a party. It's like people you under this
connection is lagging.
Table.
I don't know. It was your picture was lagging and mine was going. I don't know. We're here. That's what all that matters.
Our vibes are too high. We're overloading the internet. That's all it is.
I'm saying. We broke the internet today, Madam Pamita. So you were talking about, you were asking me something about the earthquakes. So I could hear only a glimpse of that.
Oh, okay. I was saying that it's kind of like how you predicted the earthquakes.
Yes.
And skeptical people are going to go like, oh my God, that's crazy. He said there was going to be another. Everybody was saying there wasn't, you know, that was the big quake. And you're like, there's going to be another one. And then the next day there was, on my birthday, there was another one that was bigger. all the skeptics are going to go like, oh my God, that's gay. But the people that are believers and are, I would call like the high vibes. Exactly. We're like, oh, okay, get under a table. It's no big deal. You know, it's like, okay, have your water and get under a table.
That say, oh, well, that was just a lucky guess.
Well, then those, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, I'm not an evangelist. I'm not out to convince anybody that what I'm channeling is everybody's path. It's not everybody's. It's definitely not everybody's path, because we have those range of souls that are young souls that are never going to get it, and it's not my job to convince them. And if people are saying that to us, it's like, oh, okay, well, I wish you well, path. You know, you go on your path and I'll go on mine, and you know, maybe you'll be a little further along that you get it.
It is, but and that's what I love about you and what I do too. I'm like, I'm never going to push my teachings on someone or try to make them or convince them that my way is the only way or the right way. If they, you know, if they like it and they vibe with it and they love what or you know, they can understand, or they feel like it's valid, you know, then that's all good. And those are the right souls that need to be in my circle and that need to be in my, you know, in my life. And there's people that won't, like, they won't ever get it. You know, they won't get it because they have their own teachings or set of beliefs and they differ from mine. And that's okay too. You know, why get so upset and angry? People waste so much energy every day on minor things when we could all be just enjoying our life and using that time to build our own empire, build our own selves, you know, and you know, learn things. There's so much to learn on Earth, and it's just crazy. But yeah, that earthquakes, you know, I feel like there's another one coming in California, a major one. And today, in fact, I kept. Well, let me tell you something. I didn't tell anyone this year, so you're hearing it here first. After I predicted the second earthquake that night, I had talked to my friend Melanie, who lives in West Hollywood. And so then after that, I started tuning into some live videos of people that were affected during the earthquake. And as I did that, I felt like I was leaving my body. I think I astral projected. I felt so dizzy, and I felt like I was going to pass out. But it was me tuning into the energy of this earthquake. That's how powerful this natural disaster, natural event was. And what I kept tuning into was the future, what is going to be coming up. And I feel like there is a major earthquake that is coming to California. And what is so crazy is that I feel like people are not prepared. And people are like, well, Raymond, we're native Californians and we've lived here all our life, you know, and you can never really prepare for an earthquake. But I'm like, yes, you can. Have a plan. Have, you know, batteries, have flashlights. I actually lost everything through 2 natural disasters. So I'm speaking from experience that I've been through it, so I know what you need to prepare to survive, you know, at least a week if it does get bad in that event. And it's not to create fear. You know, people that listen to my channel or listen to my predictions, I don't do these to create fear, but to create an awareness, you know, because it's better to be prepared than not be prepared when a natural disaster is going to hit. But I was tuning into today into one of the videos or something on the internet, and I saw footage from satellite imaging of the cracks that occurred on Earth's crust, you know, there in California. You can see these deep ridges. Like this was a major earthquake. And I think people that don't live in California don't really realize the magnitude that y'all actually had. But it was pretty bad. Did you feel it, or?
Oh yeah, it was actually pretty funny. But before we go into what I felt, I want to share something.
Okay.
There's a great interview that was done 2 years ago with Dr. Jane. She's like the earthquake lady, Dr. Jane and Conan O'Brien. And it's a cute, funny video you can find on YouTube. She talks about your chances of dying in an earthquake in Los Angeles. Your chances are greater of being murdered in Los Angeles. Not that you should be afraid of being murdered in Los Angeles, but that the chances of you dying in an earthquake are very low. What the problem is that you will not have water and food and supplies.
Yeah.
So the earthquake comes, your house is a mess. You're going to need, you know, a sleeping bag. You're going to need water and of course FEMA will come with water and stuff like that. Right. But what about those 3 or 4 days before you get that water? Do you want to be standing in a line waiting for water? So you need to have water, some snacks, some food, and something. Have a kit in your, I always carry like water in my car, which was so funny. I had water in my house, water in my car. My older son is like, can I drink this water? It's been on some, you know, food or, you know, snacks or. Now
longer
comes.
Okay, I think where she's coming in.
Get under a table because
this happens. I think our energy is so strong. So let's go ahead and try to bring her on again. Sorry about that, guys, gals. Just waiting for Madam Pamita to come in. I don't see her on yet. Okay, I think she's on. Nope, not yet. Madam Pamita. There is Madam Pamita. I see her now. Crossing fingers. There you are.
I'm sorry, you guys. I've got a iPhone 6. I don't know.
I think it's the internet connection.
I think I blame my technology. I've got an iPhone 6. I haven't sprung for a new.
Hey, it's working now.
I think our high vibes are blowing up the internet. It's our high vibes blowing up the internet.
It's our high vibes. I agree. All right, can you hear me now, Madam Pamita? You can hear me? Okay. Can y'all hear her?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about the earthquake, and I love the tips that you gave. You were telling people about getting under the table, getting prepared, and I love that because it needs to be, it needs to happen. You know, people need to be prepared for it, and it's just something that is going to eventually happen. People are asking me, is this going to be a major one? And I feel like it is going to be a major earthquake that is coming, and I'm talking about 8.1, 8.5, and I could be wrong. But that's what I get, and I have to trust what Spirit gives me as a revelation to the earthquakes that are coming. And it's not just in California that it's going to be affecting. There's going to be parts in Mexico and Chile, in that area. I had also predicted one in Indonesia, and it hit like hours after I had said it was going to hit. It hit there, and they got a tsunami warning. Like I said, it's just the earth itself. It's awakening. Mother Earth is awakening, and it's purging a lot of excess energy that's no longer needed. So that's why we're getting these earthquakes. I feel like, you know, it's life changing, and it's going to help a lot of people. Also, it brings people together when there's like a purging of this nature, to awaken to their spiritual abilities, to kind of come together as brothers and sisters to share. I wanted to ask you, like, out of, you know, your years of experience being in the craft, what have you learned the most with your craft? Like, what is it that, you know, that you could say that really has like helped you to help others?
Well, I think that, I'm always growing, always working, always learning. As you have said, we're always learning. And as I keep working on my own personal spiritual path, it's like this deepening, it's a simultaneous deepening and ascending and connecting up and being more attuned to guidance. And if we really want to break it down into like the basic, is love.
Yes.
That is just start there. Love and gratitude. If you start with love and gratitude, that's your compass is in 95% of the way there. And then the rest is just details. You know?
I love that. And you're coming in
so I think
clear.
It's like, I think it's simplified things, you know, like just be in love and gratitude, be in a place of appreciation, be in a place of trust, and be in a place of action from that trust. Like, don't, you know, like I think there's some people that were, you know, you also have to take some material world action on things. Like I cannot, you know, say, well, I'm going to, you know, do my working for a job, but I'm not going to go out of the house or send out a resume or tell anybody.
Exactly.
That's a little, you know, there's some action that goes along with it. This is what I learned. We are constantly co-creating with spirit. I'm a law of attraction spiritualist. I'm a new thought spiritualist. That is my path. Doesn't have to be your path. It doesn't have to be anyone else's path. This is my path. New thought, which is law of attraction, and a spiritualist connecting up to my guides. What they tell me, what they show me is that we are constantly in co-creation. We are creating together. That's that Abraham, Esther Hicks, and Abraham thing, that concept of co-creation. But here's what we do. If you and I are partners in a business, this is how I break it down. Ray and Pamita are partners in a business. Ray is super good at the artistic, making it look beautiful, and I'm really good at the numbers. That's not really true in real life, but let's just pretend. So you're that forward-facing person that makes all the beauty out there in the world, and I'm one crunching the numbers in the background. We're a team together, right? And together, we're more powerful than we are individually, because I may be good at the numbers, but I may not make it look pretty. You may be good at the pretty artistic part, but not really good at the numbers. But together, we can create a really powerful partnership. It's the same thing with spirit. Spirit works on that level of the invisible connections, right? Spirit has a way of speaking with all of us, which is open door and closed door. That happens for everybody. The doors are open or the doors are closed. Right. So you step in, you step through, but my part is the material world action of stepping through that door. If the door's closed, don't cry at the door, because whatever's on that other side of the door is nothing anyway.
It's so not true what you said, because so many people, when they're doing magic or they're doing spell work, you know, to attract that job or that interview, and they go in that interview, like you said, and they have all their intentions, and they immediately think, well, you know, I did the spell correctly. I followed everything to attract that job, and I didn't get the job. And it's not that your spell didn't work or your magic didn't work. Perhaps that job did not align with your destiny, with your you know, your path. And so it's not that it didn't work. Maybe it's going to work. You know, it's all about your intentions behind it. What, like the power that you put into it, and the belief. If you start thinking negative, like you said, about, you know, that, well, I didn't get this job, maybe my magic didn't work. Well, then your spell's not going to really work, because you're no longer believing in that. At least that's how I see it. You know, it's like you said, you have to believe and really be.
It's trust.
Trust it, yes.
I mean, I'm doing that right now. Like, I am in that thing right now with all of this Mercury retrograde and all this crazy. I'm in the middle of that right now, where I'm like, moving my business to a bigger space, and we're going to places, and the places are saying no. Some places are saying no, and other places are saying yes, but we're trying to find that perfect right place. And I'm like, okay, spirit, I'm like, I'm still going to feel like, but I'm not going to stay stuck at the, when I get a no.
You can't stay
That's
stuck.
the difference. You can feel like, damn it, I wanted that one to open up for me. But the difference between me, who really is in this, trying to do this practice, you're always trying, you know what I mean? Is that I go, okay, that door's closed. All right, I shrug it off. I shake it off. And I don't sit there and worry about it, or get, fed up with it, or angry, or vengeful or any of those other things. It's the same thing with relationship. You may think Joe Smith is your perfect person, but if you are really working in high vibes and you are really open and really in the openness, you're like, okay, Joe Smith or something better, baby. That I'm down for that. Or Susie Smith or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I totally
it's
agree.
like, if that's, yeah, it's like, if that's if you're in that place, I mean, I understand when people are like, I must have Joe Smith. I get it. Okay. But maybe let's like open it up and say like, I want Joe Smith or something better. And that's the key. I think there's three very, very simple keys that you can do magically when you're co-creating, when you're on that concept of like, I'm going to ride this wave that the universe has this real power and I'm going to use that power. So I'm going to say perfect outcome and perfect timing. I'm going to say, an open door is as good as a closed door is as good as an open door. I'm going to say, I want Joe Smith or something better. I want that job or something better. And all of those things that you give energy to in that way are release the resistance that you are giving to the situation. Like I say, it's kind of like, hey, Ray, we're going to throw you an amazing party. We're going to have it. All your most favorite people that love you are going to be there. We're going to have it in a penthouse suite at a hotel. It's going to be amazing food, amazing music. It's going to be off the hook. It's going to be the best party you've ever gone to. I'm going to give you a key. And I'm going to tell you it's the penthouse, so you know it's the top floor. But now your work is to try that key in every door. And if the door doesn't open for you, you don't sit there and pound on the door. You don't get a battering ram because what's on the other side? An empty room or two people that you don't know or whatever. You just keep trying that key until the door opens because you know the one that it opens is going to be the one that has your amazing party in it.
Exactly.
So. And I want to throw that party for you.
Thank you. I can't wait to attend that. I love that. And it's true. Like I do readings every day for people. And one of the main things I think for everyone is the universal language of love. People want to know when they're going to, start, meeting their soulmate. Everybody wants to be loved. Everyone wants to have a partner. But it's like you said, some people want it and they'll do the magic, but they'll just sit there waiting for Mr. Joe to come knocking on their door. But you have to kind of like, I tell them, you have to step outside of your comfort zones. You have to kind of also work with spirit and do your own work. Going, whether it's going out to social events, to mingle with people, kind of socialize a little bit more. You have to kind of meet spirit. And like you said, I love what you said. You didn't just say, I want so-and-so in my life, but or whatever spirit wants to bring into me, whatever is meant to be for me, bring that in. And I think that's what a lot of people need to, when they're doing work, spell work or magic, or even just manifesting, the laws of attraction, be very clear and specific in what you want, but leave it open so that way things can start coming towards you. I just love that.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a quick funny story of my love of my life. My guy is the best human in the whole world.
He's an awesome being. I see him.
He's a Taurus. I'm a Cancer. Like we're like so cuddly and sweet.
Aww.
And I just adore him. But, he came into my life because I was on a first date with somebody else and I saw him. I knew him already, but I saw him at this place. Had I not been going out and going on that first date with someone, I was kind of like, yeah, let's see what happens. I would never have seen him at that event and gone and pursued that relationship with him. We would have always been like circling around each other from a distance, which is what we were doing for 30 years, but to step into that, like you have to step into, I think you can have, hey, maybe your guy is the UPS guy that comes to your door or the pizza delivery guy that comes to your door. That's starting to sound like a little like a porno scenario, but maybe it is that guy, or that gal. But I think the more you are in the flow of life, and really living your best, really, I mean, it sounds like real trite, I know, but living your best life and being in your best life, whatever that is, the more you're going to be in that magnetic space of attracting that love into your life.
With that, 100%. And one of the things that a lot of my friends have told me, about their love experiences, etc., is like sometimes we put too much emphasis and focus on one thing, like wanting love to come into our life. But if you start focusing on yourself and building yourself and your career and loving yourself completely, sometimes you don't even, when you stop focusing on that so much, love comes knocking at your door. It comes to you, you know, and you find it. And I think that's the magical aspect, you know, to get, you know, where you want to be in life, and whether it's love or it's your career, you know, you're going to have to do the work on yourself, but don't focus so much on the future of it. You know, focus more on the present, live in the moment. I think so many of us are not focusing or living in the moment, in the present tense, and focusing on ourselves, on bettering ourselves, loving ourselves unconditionally. And if you don't love yourself, how can you expect someone else to love you? You know, you have to love yourself wholeheartedly and know what you want in your life and what you don't want. And that's something that I work on constantly, and something that I'm working on right now, you know, with my career. I want to expand like you know, I want to create an empire. I want to, you know, have so many things, but it's all about living in the moment now, and growing as a person and working hard. You know, consistency is key. People have asked me, what is it, your formula to be successful and have your clientele that you have now? And I told them it's consistency. Even on days when I don't feel like going on YouTube, there's days that I don't feel like doing readings at all. And I'm just going to be honest. You know, that is me being honest. I push myself, and I push myself because I feel like if you don't push yourself, then we start making excuses. Well, you know, I am too tired, or I didn't have enough time in the day to do this. And I think we all create some kind of excuse at one point or another. And that also inhibits our growth, our spiritual growth, and who we are as a person. So we have to kind of just be consistent and dedicated to ourselves and to others.
And I think with joy too, I think there's a thing I would add to that, which is let it be joyful. And if it, like, you know, we all have those days where like, oh, I'd rather stay in bed than go into work. You know,
Yeah.
We all have that. But I think that you also have to check in with your inner guidance of saying, is this thing consistently not bringing me joy? If it's consistently not bringing me joy, then it's time to either hire somebody else to do it or just let it go.
Yes.
You know, I think there's the day where I'm like, ugh, you know, or the day where I don't feel like writing, but I force myself to write, or I don't feel like doing this, but I force myself to do the thing that's like a thing. But if it's consistently that thing, if you're consistently not like, okay, for me, I am not a numbers person. I do not like doing filing my taxes, doing that, whatever, you know, all of that stuff. So I had to hire somebody to do it because I had to do that, you know, that's part of it. Right.
Yeah.
So I had to hire somebody to do that because there was never going to be any joy in me doing bookkeeping. Ever. There is never, ever.
Sometimes you can make mistakes, or it's just, it's so time consuming, you know, and you just don't want to do it. Like you said, you have to have, you know, joy in doing that.
Yeah, but I have joy in doing readings with clients. I love my clients. And I will tell something, reader to reader, service provider to service provider. Set the intention that you attract the people into your sphere that are, you are going to be able to help, who are going to get you, and who you are going to be able to help, and who you will have joy in connecting with them. And guess what? 100% of my clients are that. 100% of my clients are that. I love my clients like you do not even know, because the ones I set the intention, a very strong and powerful intention, that if we're not a match for one another, like in the olden days, I would get someone and I'd go, we're not really a match. I'm not going to offer you what you want. I'm not going to take your money. I'm not going to do that just because I want money. It's not working.
Exactly.
Like, we have to be a match for one another. Like, you have to find help and joy in our experience together on this journey. So I have in the past, I haven't done it, thankfully, knock on wood over here. I haven't had it lately where I've said, we're not a match. I'm not the right person for you. I know you're going to find your person, and I send you with such love on your way to find that person, but we're not a match. 100% of the clients that come to me are amazing, lovely, beautiful people, and they gain so much from our sessions together because I send out this beacon of like the bat signal. I don't know if you know about a bat signal. Bat signal?
Batman.
Like Batman? I send out the bat signal that these people that we're on the same wavelength will come to me. And that's what I get. And I love my clients. Like when I see my client list and I have regulars and I see who's on my list that day, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to talk to that person. I can't wait to find out what's happening. I can't wait to see how they've moved on their journey. Because honestly, my ideal client is someone who wants to move on their journey. You can move slow. You can move super fast, depending a lot on your astrology probably. You'll move slow or fast. But the person who stays stuck in their pity party is not my client. Yeah, those are the ones I'm like, I can't help you.
Yeah, and it's like, that's the one thing that I do too when I do readings and help my clients. I'm like, if I've told you already, 3 or 4 times, in different sessions, maybe months apart, what to do, and you're not grasping it, then maybe I'm not the person to read for you, and I have to release that relationship or that client connection. And I do that sometimes. Doesn't happen often, but it does, and it's very painful, and it's very real life though, because it's like that person, I'm no longer able to help them. I feel like maybe somebody else, maybe another colleague, and I have had cases where I've had to refer them to other colleagues because I feel like, maybe they can kind of, if they hear it from somebody else, that, that what I'm saying, is matching up, or, they can work with somebody else. Maybe it'll snap, in their brain or in their soul, and they'll resonate with that message. But I love that you said that, because there's so many of us that are stuck in a job that we don't like, or doing things that you don't like, but you're there for the pay. A lot of people are there in their jobs for the pay because they have to make a living, but at the same time, you're sacrificing your happiness. And it's not just about the job, but then that all trickles out into the atmosphere, into your home, your kids, your partner, and you just start feeling miserable. And I feel like a lot of people are just stuck in that vibration and repeating it, and then they're unhappy with their life, and they don't know why. And it's because, like you said, they're resisting change, and we have to stop resisting change. When we feel it in our spirit, you have to take a leap of faith and have, a blind faith that the universe is going to take care of you, and there's something better there for us.
Yeah.
I love
absolutely.
It's amazing. Like, we are in the same vibe completely. I wanted to talk about your candles, because you offer such a beautiful, I love candles a lot, and I've come across a lot of shops, but I love your figurine candles. They burn so well, and they're beeswax, and I love the power that beeswax has, because it's a natural source. It's from the bees, and it's just beautiful. So what kind of candles do you offer, Madam Pamita?
So, and by the way, everything's on hold right now for shipping out, because we're in our flux of moving into a new space. So we're not shipping out for like another week or two. So if you order, anybody that orders now will have, we are keeping in contact with everyone that orders and saying, hey, we're moving, and we're letting everybody know. So there's communication happening. Yeah. Yes. Marlene is the best. I should take you over. She's at my house. I'm at my house today. We're working from home today. But, so, well, here's the story of the candles and how they came to be. So when I was starting to do work for clients and how to shop.
Go ahead and continue. I'll be right back. I'm just going to step for a second. I'm sorry. I had to do this.
Okay. I'll tell the story. So I was doing shop, and I had, I was having trouble getting the candles that I wanted. And I also got the message from my guides of working with beeswax. This is such a high vibe medium, beeswax is, because it is, if you know a little bit about, well, first of all, it is, when you buy something beeswax, you're supporting the colonies of bees. So I was just saying, Ray, that how high vibe beeswax is as a medium, because number one, you know how the bee colonies were not thriving, and there was colony collapse and all of this. When we support beekeepers by buying their products, honey and beeswax, we are supporting them financially so that they can have more beehives, so we can have more support for bees and more bees. So there's a support for our ecosystem in buying beeswax. That's number one right there. If that's all you do is you buy candles and you put them in storage, you're supporting the ecosystem and our life on earth, because so much of our fruits and our flowers and everything depends on this web of the ecosystem, which honeybees are a part of it. All right. But the energy of beeswax is this: for 1 ounce of beeswax, to collect and make, or to make that ounce of beeswax, bees have to make 1 million trips to flowers. So in 1 ounce, which is, you would figure that's about the size of maybe a golf ball. So you're having many ounces in a candle, right? Size of a golf ball. You have the energy of the bees making 1 million trips to those flowers, which also have energetic support for your magic. That in and of itself is a whole other layer of magic that is going on with this. You are using a renewable material that supports our ecosystem, that doesn't destroy our ecosystem, and is good for your health.
Yes.
When you burn paraffin, you are having it. 1 paraffin candle in a house with good ventilation is not going to be a problem. But I burn multiple paraffin candles. I have to have ventilation if I'm burning paraffin, because I start coughing.
Yeah, me too.
And I can tell the difference.
Me too.
So when you burn, I can burn a whole bank of beeswax candles and have no ill effects. If I burn paraffin, there's something going on with paraffin. Paraffin is made from, it's a byproduct from the oil and gasoline, petroleum industry. It's a byproduct. I guess back in history, it's natural. I mean, it's the wax of plants that has petrified and become, prehistoric plants. The wax of that plant is the paraffin. That's what we're getting. But it's gone through so much processing, and who knows what all else. It's a little dicey there. Yeah. Not bagging on people that make candles with paraffin. I'm not bagging. I'm just saying, for me, that burns a lot. Burn 1 paraffin candle. You'll be fine if you're burning 1 paraffin candle. But if you're burning 50 in a room with not good ventilation, be careful, because I noticed the ill effects of it myself. So my path doesn't have to be your path. We're all good. It's all good. So anyway, beeswax is very high vibe. It's more expensive. It definitely costs more, but you are buying something that you're committing. Instead of buying that $2 candle, maybe spend $20 on a candle. There's a whole other level of that.
Well, I'm going to be honest
with
you.
That
I have been buying a lot of candles from a lot of places, but your place, I love the candles because, like you said, I have bad allergies and I can't burn paraffin. It irritates me. I start coughing and everything. Your prices, honestly, Madam Pamita, are very reasonable when it comes to like those 7-day candles, the tall ones that you sell. They're all beeswax, all of her candles, and I love that they don't have that scent, because the scents start irritating me. And I don't just burn 1 candle on my altar. I burn several, like you said. So like having too many of the paraffin, or those that have like perfumes or
fragrance,
yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, and I have a sensitivity to I'm going to say this. I have a sensitivity to low quality fragrance will give me a headache, but high quality fragrance that is done with no whatever in it, I can tolerate it, but I can't tolerate. But the beeswax candles that I sell, unless you're getting the dressed ones, which have a little bit of oil in them, if you get a plain one, or you get any of the figural ones, there's nothing on them. So if you have sensitivities to fragrance, there's nothing there. So the people that like it's hypoallergenic, really. So then there's the whole other thing, which is that the candles that you buy from, this is not true of all candles, because there are candle makers that are making paraffin candles that are handmade. So I'm not saying that this is all, but when you're going to like maybe your local Botanica and you see a candle and it's $1.50, that candle's probably made in China. It's not made in a conscious way. It's made in a factory where someone's getting 15 cents a day or whatever. And there's nothing magical about it. It's a blank slate. It's fine. It's fine if that's all that you can afford. I'm not going to say to somebody, somebody on a budget can only afford $1.50 and they want to do a candle spell, do that candle spell. Do it with a birthday candle. It's fine. But if you can afford to do give a little more, juice to your magic and do something good for the environment and get something good for your own health, then step it up. So the reason I started making candles is because I couldn't get the candles that I wanted and the figures that I wanted. And also nobody was making it in beeswax, and I'm like, I want to make them out of beeswax. And so I started that whole process with this wonderful colleague, Vivian, who started doing, she made the first original molds. She started pouring them for me. And then she's like, I don't want to do candles anymore. So she then gave the molds to us, sold the molds to us. And then we started doing it ourselves. So we started doing that ourselves. And now what we're doing is we're moving into bigger space so that we can start wholesaling in a real way to people, to stores, and to other people, so that we can make this bigger thing.
All of your candles, you make them.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Marlene does I mean, I do the designing of the candles and like setting it, like setting it up. Marlene makes the molds and pours the molds, and all those candles are hand poured by us with intention, with love, with the intention that your magic is going to be done. So this is the layers of magic. Like, listen, I'll be real with you and everybody that's watching. You can do magic with nothing. You don't need to have anything to do magic. All you need is your brain and your thought and your intention and your spirit. That's all you need. But the reality is most of us go, I want that new love in my life, but I'm not deserving of new love. I want that new love, but I'm not meeting anybody. I want that new job, but nobody's hiring right now. We all go in this back and forth motion. Yes. So if we go in this back and forth motion, we need to have the support of tools to keep the motion going forward. Because if you're sitting there going, I want a job, but I'm not finding a job. I want a job, but nobody's hiring. Oh my God, am I going to pay my rent? Blah, 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 blah. If that's all happening internally, it's like you're taking one step forward and one step backward constantly. You're not going to progress forward.
Tools. We need those visualization, that actual tangible object to feel a connection to spirit, or to feel like your magic or your spell is amplified. It's working. And I think a lot of us, that are, like you said, that are here today listening, they get it, we get it. And I've worked with your candles, especially the figurines, and I can attest, like, they're very powerful and charged. And when I dress it with oil, and herbs and things like that for whatever spell I'm doing. And I've noticed, like, after it burns down, I can read the candle wax, and there's usually like a shape too. And that's kind of like also validating when you're doing magic, that you get to like read, if you know how to read candle wax, after it burns down on the figurine candles, you can see like shapes and symbols that kind of, give you a little guidance as to what is the outcome, or, depending on what kind of spell. But I always look forward to when your candles finish, what the wax is going to form.
Well, and also too, the beautiful thing about beeswax is that the temperature, it melts at a different temperature than other waxes. And you can actually take that wax and soften it with the heat of your hands, or take a hair dryer on low heat, soften that wax, or even put it in the oven at the very, very, very lowest temperature, soften that wax, and you can make a little talisman out of that beeswax and put it on your altar. So I've done that many times, where I've taken the remaining herbs and I've formed a little ball, or maybe I make a little heart, or make a little cube, or whatever. And now you carry the energy of that spell going forward. So either it's something on your altar, or you put it in a mojo bag, or you bury it somewhere, or you do something with it, but you can actually retain that energy even after you burn the candle, and hold on to it if it's something that you're working to create or hold on to. That so that's one of the.
You read candles, candle wax as well. And someone is asking you, do you learn to read candles, or is that a natural talent?
I think. Well, here's what I would tell you to do. If you can look at a cloud like little kids do, and I say, oh, I see an elephant. Oh, I see a face. Oh, I see a birthday hat. I don't know, whatever. You see shapes in the clouds. You can, if you can do that, then you can do tea leaf reading. If you can do that, you can do wax reading. That you can do because the only thing that's missing is the leap from the symbolism.
Exactly.
What does an elephant symbolize? If I see an elephant in the cloud, or I see an elephant in my wax, or I see an elephant in my remaining tea leaves in my cup, what does an elephant mean? And there are dictionaries that can help you, and there are places that that you can look these things up. And now online you can look anything up. But what does it mean? Dream dictionaries will do that for you. Whatever, on any of those will work. But I think you have to start to learn to connect to your own guidance, exactly. Which is, okay, Ray, I see an elephant in my candle wax. What would you say that means? What does that mean? I have a spell for my new business and I see an elephant. What does it mean? And then, you know, Ray or I or somebody can help you figure out, oh, well, an elephant means you can't forget where you've been because an elephant never forgets. Or this is going to move and it's going to move in a strong way. Or we look at Ganesh.
So big.
Or Ganesha, you know, the god Ganesha, which is the elephant god, is the path clearer. Like, it's like open roads energy. Maybe you need to do a road opener spell or whatever. You know, it's like, that's that guidance that you get. That's the living thing. Every time I see a thing in a candle, it is going to be different because I'm going to get different guidance as to the possibilities, you know, of what that can be. Right? It's just really a doorway. Like tarot is a doorway to open up the message. It isn't like you look at that card every single time that card is out. It means the same thing for everybody in every reading. No way. No way. There's a range of meanings, and it's just the key that opens a door to allow that spirit to transmit a message, and then you're just the carrier of that message. Whether you use a tool, whether you don't use a tool. But if you're doing readings in candle wax, you know every time you see something, it could be the same dang thing you see every time, but it means different things for different people in different situations. So
yeah, I love that. And it's like you said, you know, you have to understand at the time. You have to ask yourself, where are you right now in your spiritual space at the time that you're doing that candle, you know, and that you're doing the spell, and what are you feeling, and you know, what is happening in your life, and kind of looking at that and then using that to, and what kind of candle spell that are you doing to interpret that wax or interpret that figure that you see in there. Like you said, there's a different meaning. Whatever it means to me may differ for someone else when they're doing their own magic, you know, of what it means for them. So I guess we're going to have to wrap it up because we're already getting to that cross line time. But I wanted to ask you one last question. Like when you were younger, I mean, at what age did you know that you were going to be embracing this path?
Well, I grew up in a magical household. My grandmother, who I never met, she died before I was born. She died when my mom was 17. My mom's life is something else. Her dad died when she was 5, and her mom died when she was 17. But my mom's mom was Ukrainian, from Ukraine, and would do readings with candle wax, weirdly. Candle wax, they do readings there, and they do this whole like thing that's kind of like you drip the wax in water. Right. And my mom told me about this, but she never did it. Like she was, you know, her mom died when she was young, so she could remember what her mom was doing, but her mom never taught her, or she wasn't interested. You know what I mean? Like you're a teenager, you're off doing your thing, right? And then, so I grew up though in a magical household. And then I would say, you know, like I can remember, Ray, looking at a book in Greek mythology when I have a copy of that book. It's not the same one, but I have a copy of this book on Greek mythology when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, maybe 9 years old, and going, why can't I believe that religion? Like, why can't I believe this? Because this seems to make, I like this.
That's the time that I started actually opening up to reading books as well and questioning, just like you, around 7 or 8. I think a lot of us have that, you know, we started off, that are now doing this, we started off very young, being open to it.
Yeah, and then the fascinating thing in retrospect was that when I was 10 years old, we went to Boston to visit my sister, and my family did, and I was 10. We went on a day trip to Salem.
Oh wow.
And so in Salem, this is 1974. Okay, you guys, you youngsters, Ray, I'm talking to you. You youngsters do not know how good you have it and how open things are, because back in 1970s, you might have a hippie store somewhere that would have a tarot deck, but your basic mainstream store, there were no tarot decks, and you might have to order it mail order, or you might have to go to a hippie store, or you might have to go to some weird esoteric thing. So here's me as a 10-year-old going into Lori Cabot's shop, I'm sure, because that was probably the only witchy shop in 1974 in Salem. And my mom said, pick out a souvenir. And what did I pick out? A tiny tarot deck.
Oh my God, how cool.
At 10 years old. Why would a kid at 10 years old pick out a tarot deck? That's a little weird to me. Like I look at, like, that's not a 10-year-old gift. You know, now that's not a 10-year-old thing. But I can remember taking that. I remember longing, like taking out the little white book that came with it and trying to figure it out and going like, it's too complicated. I don't get it. So I played with the cards like paper dolls. I would have them talk, the little characters talk to one another, and I would play with them, and I would do these things. But I think that was the best education I could have had, because it was my way of building a relationship with these cards and the characters in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, so that I have such a rich, those are my old friends. Like I use different decks all the time, and I use, like I've lately been doing the Aquarian deck and all of that. But those Rider-Waite-Smith cards were like my old friends that I know, like your childhood friends.
Those are my favorite.
I know you.
Like when I read myself, I use the Rider-Waite, and I find it. I have thousands. Well, I have not thousands, but I have about 40 or 50 decks that I use just to read myself, because I can't read myself unless I'm using cards. And the Rider-Waite are the ones that I find myself going back to, because I love the imagery, and it's like you can interpret it if you have spiritual abilities just by looking at the card itself. It speaks, the imagery it speaks to you and tells you exactly more or less like what's going on. Like the aspects of swords, that's kind of like conflict. That's going to be, some kind of preparedness that you need to prepare for. Cups are like the emotional portion of, it's something in your emotions. It deals a lot with, ties in with our emotions. And love, wands, a lot of movement, love, etc., like that. And the major arcana, those speak for themselves. So it's like, when you get into a lot of these different things, you'll kind of know, like you said, you have to work with it. You can't pick it up overnight. And I love that you had that relationship with, the tarot system from so young. You were exposed to that, and so was I. I think my first deck was like maybe when I was about 12 or 13 years old. I went to one of the spiritual shops here in my town, and I was like, I'm just going to get it. And my mom was so okay with it, so I felt that was so good that, I was so open and I had support.
We could thank Walter Mercado for that, right?
I
love Walter Mercado.
Mucho amor.
Mucho amor.
I used to watch him all the time on Telemundo or Univision when he would come out. I was like, who is that man?
I have no Latina nothing in me, but man, I'm in LA, and LA is a Latina and Latino community. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's everywhere. So of course I do. Walter is so the best. I love him.
He is.
I love him. And he makes it it makes spirituality accessible. I think on some level I look at him as like a role model, because I'm like, he is pure love.
Yes, he is.
He is total love. He is fabulous.
Yes, he
of course. And he makes everything positive and accessible. And I think that's, if I can be a little bit of Walter Mercado in somebody's life, I'm good.
I know.
He makes it like not scary.
And
he makes it,
he makes it so that people, for years.
A million years. How old is he? 1,000 years old. Oh my God. He drinks formaldehyde. There's lawn mowing going on next door. I don't want that noise coming in. So anyway, so Walter Mercado made it safe for the world to be,
and then Sylvia Brown,
to be spiritual.
Miss Cleo, and all these other people, that came, before us, and they've been, on a very public platform, and that's kind of helped us for where we are today. So I want to thank you, Madam Pamita, so much for allowing me. This is such an honor to meet you face to face, and I'm sorry, guys, and all of you, and I'm sorry, Madam Pamita, for the technical difficulties we had earlier.
I don't know. I guess it was me. I want to just say a couple of things. I just see Divine Hand Jim. He says, mucho amor. So Jim and I are going to be in Dallas on the 12th to the 14th. I just want to can I give a little plug of where I'm going to be? I'm going to be teaching and doing these readings. So I want to talk about that before we go. I'm going to be in Dallas on the 12th and the 14th. So just the day after tomorrow. And then I'm going to be in Fresno teaching a class in candle magic. So Jim and I, actually Divine Hand Jim, and I are teaching a class on the hands and the Rider-Waite deck. So it's tarot and palmistry mashup. I'm going to be teaching a class and taking tarot cards. This is in Dallas, taking your tarot cards and making spell packets out of them. He's going to be teaching a Love in the Palm. So how you read love in palmistry, which is amazing. He's an amazing teacher. I adore him. We have so much fun together. Then that's going to be the 12th, 13th, and 14th in Dallas. The 20th, I'm going to be in Fresno, or as I like to say, yes. I'm going to be teaching a candle magic class on the 20th at Gaia House of Healing. And then on the 21st, Jim and I are going to be hooking up again together, and we're going to be teaching 3 classes on the 21st at Serpent's Kiss Boutique. I'm going to be teaching that Tarot Packet Magic. He's going to be teaching a palmistry class, and then we're doing the palmistry tarot mashup together. And then at the end of the month, we're going to be in Idaho at the Goddess Festival. And here comes the love of my life driving up just on time. Speaking of love. So anyway, so those are the things that are coming up. If you want to find out where we're going to be, how you can hook up a reading with us or come to the classes, if they go to my website, which is parlorofwonders.com, or do they go to Jim's website, which is Divine Hand Palmistry, or The Divine Hand. I always mess it up. The Divine Hand. Yes, Boise Goddess Fest. Jim is putting the links at the bottom in the comments. Jim is taking care of biz back there. The Divine Hand, yes. TheDivineHand.com is him. Parlor of Wonders is me. You can come up, Manfred. It's okay. Come and say hi. Here comes that magical guy that I was talking about earlier. I'm doing live on Instagram. Come give me a kiss. So anyway, we're wrapping it up right now. Anyway, so we're going to be in those places. We're going to be teaching those classes and doing the readings and things there. So, yeah. So there. So come and see us. Yes. He puts the man in Manfred, Jim says. Manfred's going to be in Idaho. If you want to meet my boyfriend, you come to Idaho, the Goddess Fest.
I love it.
It's coming up.
So guys, be sure
Thank
to
you
check
so
her
much,
out.
Ray.
Madam Pamita, I'd love to do another live with you in the near future, if you're okay with that, because I feel like we didn't have enough time, and our connection here today was kind of like between back and forth, but it was probably the powers that be. But I definitely want to do another collab with you in the near future, and I'll reach out to you on that. And I will be recording this and putting this show today live on my Instagram. And also on YouTube, and I want to get your links. So if you or Jim can DM me or email me the links to where you're going to be, the live shows and etc., I'll put them underneath the description box in my YouTube video so people can know exactly. So that way we can get you that promotion and get people to go to see you, and if they live in that area or they're traveling or there, because I feel like it's very important for people that are like-minded souls to get to know you. You are absolutely wonderful, a divine pleasure. And a great teacher. So thank you so much. I'm so blessed to be graced by your presence today. I'm fangirling.
Well, you know what? You are so inspiring me, because I want to do I had my Q&A going for a while. I'm going to start doing it on Zoom, and I want to have you come and be my guest. Like, I think it would be so fun to bring you to my people too. So let's do that. Let's make that happen.
For it. Well,
I love you.
I love you so much. God bless you and your partner and all the beautiful Madam Pamita fans and my Rays of Light. Thank you so much for being here. Blessings and love and light. Y'all have an amazing day.
Bye.
Bye.